ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide, gonna let all the fears slide. Got Mother Nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing inside.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Odyssey of Truth. I'm Lorenzo from the New Now, here with Campbell from Autodidactic. We're going to go into 3.5. We're discussing the heart's voice. In number 3, we discussed responsibility, how to go inside and see how to figure out for yourself what you need to do for yourself. And this will be another addition to that, and perhaps how you can figure out how to take your own best advice so you can make your own best choices for how you would like to be alive. Hey, Campbell.
How you going, Lorenzo?
Good.
Yeah, the heart's voice. Yeah, we talked a lot about responsibility in episode 3, and responsibilities obviously has so much to do with listening to yourself, because it's I think responsibilities have to be based. You have to have an ethical or moral basis, for what you. Or else, what are you going to be responsible for, right? If you don't have values, then there's no point being responsible for anything. So I think this, when we get down to the crux of it, this is really all about, knowing who we are, listening to that heart voice or that little voice inside, or your gut, whatever you want to call it. And really, just becoming someone who's, in the world, but not of the world, where we can take in information, but then we've got that gap and we can view it. Okay, that's information, rather than being, wrapped up in it and attached emotionally to it, and which they love to do with their fear, don't they?
Yes.
Come on, attached to this, it's so scary.
Attached to that. I mean, it's really important, we found, is especially as things are getting more crazy, to understand how you can navigate through the world. To kind of understand, like if you buy a map, for example, like let's say you go into a disreputable map store and you buy a map for how to drive from one end of Australia to the other, or one end of Canada to the other, and they haven't done their research, or they want to trick you and they're selling you like a map maybe that leads to their friend's store that sells useless trinkets and baubles or whatever. It could be seen as a way to distract you. So what we want to discuss today in your heart's voice is to figure out, how you can learn to navigate in your life from point A to point B, whatever that is for yourself. I mean, I would take it to be, if we take a moment right now, if you think, most people think behind their eyes, let's say, right? If you're thinking right now, I'm deciding what color I want to wear, what I want to make for dinner, what I'm going to do next week, how I'm going to, spend my paycheck this week. Generally, that comes into your brain behind your eyes, and, that's where you're considering things. Now, if you have a feeling, though, let's say for a lady or a vocation or a way to move or what you would like to do with your life, I mean, you imagine you get these feelings of things. Now, if you go into your body a bit, those feelings don't come from your head, right? As Campbell said, they come from your gut brain, or they come from your heart, or they can come from a different part of your body, or who knows where they come from. But if you're honest with yourself, you can tell that these feelings do not come from between your eyes. They come from somewhere else. So we're going to discuss today a little bit about what that means, how to get there, and how that can perhaps help you to navigate through the crazy that's going on right now. Because if anybody knows, Campbell and I have talked about TV being what it is, and newspapers being what they are, and the TV being what it is, and the politicians being what they are. And all of that, I would say, is directly related to an attack or an inculcation, which means to be forced inside of you into a place where they want you to consider life. And all of that, at least for me, goes to my head. So how to circumnavigate that to make a better life for yourself would be, I would say, a good approach to a better way to be alive.
Yeah, we've been taught, through schooling and everything, society, that all thought happens in the brain, right? It's all your brain or your mind, which is not true. We know we have plexuses, through our body, and these are basically mini brains, nerve bundles, and the one in our solar plexus in our gut is it's the second biggest to the actual brain. And then we have the heart, which has the biggest electromagnetic field. So, it's been proven, there's definitely a link to all these different, minds. We don't just have this brain. And that's a trap, because the brain gets you, inside your left brain, left side of your brain. It sort of says, all this stuff that you can't see doesn't exist. So don't listen to it. And so this is the thing. We've got to really start, going, they call it shadow work, right? When you get rid of, sort of trauma and stuff from the past. But I think we need to do that as well, as far as just our viewpoints, just examining, what do we believe and why? We have all these thoughts, and to the point where people, we've seen it, right? They go off their nuts yelling and screaming, and you ask them, what's the reason? Where are you coming from? And they can't tell you. They do not know, because they're just repeating other people's opinions and buying into the fear. But if you stop and think, well, why do I even believe this? And start sort of going backwards, I think you'll be interested in what you find, because a lot of the time you find there's not a lot of basis for what we believe are our sort of core values. When you really look at it, it's like, oh, I don't even know where I got that from. So how can it be a core value? So it's reevaluating ourselves and what we believe and what we've been taught to believe. And again, it's this whole thing of being in the world, but not of the world. So, you can bring yourself above it. Like I call it helicopter view. You can go above the world and look down, and you're not a part of it. And you can see all the workings and that, and that way you can detach and go, oh, well, okay, I can see that would be better for me, or that would be better for me. Just gives yourself options rather than living through other people's opinions, which is what most of us are doing.
I mean, if everyone likes to think they're men or women of reason and they're intelligent and they've been educated, but I really have found that it's very, very rare to find an actual master of reason these days. Because, a reason is you take a fact, you figure it out, you see what works, what doesn't. 2 + 2 = 4. If I do this, that happens. If I don't do this, that happens. And a lot of people will say they're reasonable, but, if you consider your life and it's not good in, fill in your own blanks, A, B, or C, or you're somewhere you are and you want to go somewhere else, whatever's in your head is already in the past, right? I mean, if you have a fact, it's already there. Whatever you can think of, you can only think of what you know. You can only think of what you've been taught. You can only think of what you've been shown. You can only think of something that's already happened. Even if it just happened, it's already in the past if you're thinking about it. Right? So it's already information that's there. And if you're not happy with your life, let's say, or you're not happy with, whatever it happens to be, how are you going to get something new by using information from the past? And that's where I would feel the heart's voice comes in, because the heart may be whispering things outside of that box. The heart may be whispering suggestions to you away from the facts that you think you know. I mean, if you're a reasonable person, and I don't think people are, I think they're all emotional bags of stress these days, to be perfectly honest. And I find it's being done on purpose from all of the overschmoes or ankle biters or the poo heads that be, whatever you want to call these, so-called fools in suits that pretend to know what's going on. They give you so much stress, you literally can't think straight other than to be afraid. And that's okay, because most people have been taught that the only place they can live is in this nonsense that they call their thought processes. And if you decide to sidestep that, you go to your guts, as Campbell mentioned, or to your heart, which I've also seen and studied has 500 times more energy than your head anyways, like 500 times. Think about it. It's 500 times more powerful. Everyone says love is more powerful. Everyone says, what you love is more important than what you own. People will say, what are they looking for? Most people aren't going to say they're looking for whatever, unless they're hungry food. Most people that don't have it will be looking for love. So if you sidestep what you think you know and get into the guts or the heart of the matter, maybe you'll get some options on how to proceed beyond what's keeping you trapped on this journey, your odyssey, if you want to go somewhere new.
Yeah. And a lot of the time it's emotion, and, especially for us males, us men, we're taught that we're not supposed to go there. We're not supposed to explore these feelings, and we should just hold on to them and bury them and until we're complete emotional wrecks. But that clearly doesn't work. It's all about balance and becoming a complete person. If you're just following the narrative, you're only being a small part of who you are. So I would suggest, writing things down is a good way to bring things from the inside to the outside, because you're literally taking thoughts which are you can't grab, you can't touch, and you're turning them into something physical. And when you do this, you need to write with your hand. Don't type on a keyboard. That doesn't make the brain connection. But 7 questions, when you come up with something that you believe or something, why do I believe this or whatever, go 7 levels deep, write down the question, why do I believe this? And then write your answer, and then write it again, like not the same one, then ask yourself again, write the next answer. And they say when you get about 7 levels deep, then you're pretty much getting to the truth of it. And this is the thing, we have all these layers and all these ways, because the mind is the great trickster, and it's really good at hiding stuff. And so we don't look at it. And the ego comes along and says, well, of course you're amazing and you never do anything wrong. It's always everyone else. So we won't look at that stuff, but it doesn't go away. It sits there as part of your energy. So this is the shadow work we need to do. And it doesn't need to be big. It's just ask yourself questions, ask yourself, talk to yourself, and be quiet and listen to that little voice, right? The heart voice. We all have a voice that doesn't shut up, but then we all have another voice that's quiet. And this voice only comes through when you're quiet. It's always there, but we can't hear it unless we focus on it. And this voice, is, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, the creator. But that's where inspiration comes from. That's where new thought comes from. That's where new direction that you haven't thought of comes from. And like I said, you can't hear it unless you're quiet. So, this is all an inner journey, right? Life is an inner game. So, yeah, definitely, especially for the men, just, don't be afraid. Just go there, see what all this stuff is, get the emotions out, become more of who you are, write it down. And then once you get all the crap out, what's left is who you really are.
And then you can't be tricked. I mean, if anybody watching the variants of garbage being passed along to people, if you have something that's wrong or something that feels bad, whether it's physical or emotional, if you get stuck in your head, the people that are trying to trick you are trying to tell you why it's happening. For example, before we got on the phone today, so to speak, or on our chat, I chatted with a fellow that had a panic attack. He's a young man. He's only in his 20s. He's 25, right? So, and he had his jibby jab, as Campbell likes to call it, or whatever. And, he was in the hospital. Like, he had a panic attack and his heart started hurting, and he called the hospital. He was at a gym working out, and he's a young fellow, right? And, according to his head, or the doctors, he just had a panic attack because he was worried about paying his rent, right? But, that's not supposed to happen. If you go to your heart's voice, maybe you'll say, I'm 25. I should be strong. What my feelings telling me beyond what the doctors or so-called newspapers are telling you, and you may figure out maybe there's something in your body that you're trying to get rid of. Maybe there's something you're trying to express. Maybe it's something beyond the reasoning of why you're sick or unhappy or unhealthy, and it goes beyond what someone can tell you. I think that's the other thing that Campbell mentioned. It inside work, deep work, shadow work, if you like, to see what's stopping you. But if you go inside and you start talking to your heart's voice is unique to you. Everyone has one, and everyone wants to feel they're special, and they are, but only as they allow themselves to be, right? If you're taking information from the outside world, you're not special. You're just regurgitating what's been told to you. If you go to your heart and see what it's telling you, then you can become special. Everyone's equally special, but you can become special in that it will give you advice that's only for you, especially for you, and will allow you, in my opinion, to get over what seems to be blocking whatever it is that you need to be unblocked from.
Yeah, well, with all this opinion and stuff going around, lots of people take that on as advice. That's good advice for me, when it's not. Because we live in a world where all this information, most of it, and the opinion that it comes from people that we don't know. So back in the day, you would talk to someone and you would have that connection, and you would know, okay, this feels right, or this person feels dodgy. But we've had that severed, right? Now all this information for most people comes from the telly, or the radio, or the internet, social media. And there's no energy connection there. So So we've lost that that sense, right, of judging if this is good or bad. Does it feel right or wrong? We don't have that connection anymore. So what we need to do with all this information is, because that used to happen automatically, right? You'd talk to someone, you wouldn't have to stop and go, is this person good? You would just know it. But now we do. Now we have to stop and go, okay, who is this person really? What are they saying? What are the reasons? Should I take this on? Where's it going to lead me? How's it going to work out? And then ask that to your heart so that you can still come from the same place and get the same results. But, we're in a different world now, right? All this division and all this cutting from things you can't feel, right? The fifth element. So yeah, this is the thing as well, is, really start to think, where does all this information come from? If you find out it comes from, politicians, well, drop it, right? Drop it like it's hot. This is the thing. We find out that all this information probably comes from people we don't want to be like. And as soon as we start living through their opinions, we're becoming like them. So it's really, and we're kind of saying the same thing over and over. It's really about taking time, going inside, being unafraid to face yourself, go down that road. If you have to go and, rent an Airbnb by yourself for a week so you can cry and no one can watch, well, go and do it. Go and do it. Get it out. But have to get real, we have to get real.
Yes.
That's it. We've got to get real with ourselves, or else we're just in the dream, right?
I've been left alone on mountains for a few months. I've lived alone in small villages for a while. I've been to small towns in Canada by myself. And it was all, as Campbell said, maybe not on purpose at the time, but as I look back on my life, it gave me an opportunity to get real. I woke up by myself. I went to bed by myself. I made choices by myself. So I saw by myself what was working for myself. And it brought me to a place where I got to understand more of what my heart was asking for in relation to what I was being told or telling myself. You do have to, one of the most important points, Campbell made, I find, is to not do some research into the source of the information you're getting is really, really stupid. If you'll pardon my language. I mean, you have to understand where things are coming from, to understand why they're coming from there, whether it's a politician, if you're watching TV and someone's telling you this product is great and it's a commercial, you pretty much know that they have an agenda, right? They're trying to sell you whatever they're trying to sell you. And, and it's the same for everything, right? If it's coming from a politician, you can figure out they've got an agenda. You have to reasonably use your mind to figure out. Your mind is not the be all and end all of where things need to go and to come from. And I would say for a lot of the people maybe watching this that don't know how to start, we all know if you drink too much or you overeat, it's hard to think, right? Obviously. I would say if you want your guts to start working, maybe consider what you put in your body, right? Maybe consider healthier food, maybe consider better food, maybe consider ways to keep your middle side clean and not full of whatever. And I don't mean you can eat meat if you want to, you can eat vegetables if you want to, whatever. It's just a matter of whatever you feel works for you, and allowing, the space maybe for your guts to start better generating what you're talking about yourself through your head. I mean, it gets a little bit confusing because we're talking about feelings here, but I would say is by understanding the source of what's coming into your head, understanding the source of what's going into your guts, understanding, your own maybe decisions on your love and your heart. Campbell made a great idea. Write it all down if it gets confusing. Say, this is what my head is saying. This is what my heart is saying. This is what my guts are saying. Go down 7 levels. Turn off the silly computer and the cell phone. Sit with yourself in a room by yourself. And everyone's heart is always talking to them. I mean, that's the beauty of it. So you will be amazed at maybe the new inspirations you get. Getting the courage to act on it, that'll be a talk maybe for another time. But at the very least, you'll start to hear your heart's voice, and probably you'll see, as we've seen, you get different advice than what's coming through from between your ears or behind your eyes.
Yeah, much different advice. And it's that, trust is in here as well. And, we've been taught, everything is physical and 3D, but, in the last 2 years, if you haven't realized that that's a lie, then go back and start at the beginning, right? What they're hiding from us is that everything is the fifth element, right? It's
Okay, so that's a fifth element calling.
Is that fifth element, right? It's yeah. Everything is the unseen. Everything is, the creator, right? That force that creates and animates all things. That's everything, and that's what we're a part of. And everything they try and tell us is no, 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 no. Just 3D, just 3D. You're not a super powerful human. No, no, you're just this little weak, physical thing that dies. So this is the first thing we need to get over. And to a lot of people, this is weird. This is new ground, right? It's all this woo stuff. Oh, it's a bit weird. We're not supposed to really go inside and listen to voices in our heads. Aren't they devils? Oh, it must be the devil talking to me. Trust yourself, guys. If you think it's the devil talking to you, then again, write it down. Why is it the devil? Why is, this is the thing. Because a lot of people through religions and things, they will judge as soon as you get a voice or an inspiration or something in your head, they'll say, no, that's the devil. And so don't listen to it, but they don't know. So this is all about, again, where did that thought come from? Why do I believe it? Okay. Does it have any bearing? What is this voice saying to me? Is it beneficial? I think you're pretty much going to know if it's the devil talking to you. If you don't, then there's bigger issues on hand, So just, let go of all the, all this opinion and all these restrictions and all these boundaries we put on ourselves. We build the box, we build the gilded cage. And so many people stand in their gilded cage and they yell and they say, ha ha, look at me in my gilded cage. You're an idiot. And they don't even realize they're in the gilded cage. And this is why you've got to go inside and stop, drop the ego and understand, look, we've all been fooled. The smartest people in the world have been fooled, and it's not our fault. We were just babies. And once you can get past that and go, okay, look, let's just start again, drop the ego, drop all the crap. Who am I? What's going on? Where are we? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What are my morals and values? And really get that, because we're living in a program. This is why everything's going bad. That's why it's all going, topsy-turvy, because we're running someone else's program. This is the whole thing. It's not for us.
No. Sure, we've all been babies. We've all been tricked. The trick is not to stay a baby. The trick is to realize, where your emotions are getting the better of you. The trick is to realize, when you're having an emotional reaction as opposed to a feeling, and they're not the same. It's not so easy to figure them out. I finally have, but your emotions and your feelings are different. I would say an easy litmus test for that is an emotion follows the thought. You think about something first. That person insulted me. Now I'm angry, right? That lady's sexy. Now I'm in love, whatever. But a feeling just kind of hits you out of the blue. I had several girlfriends before I got married, thinking my way into relationships. First time I saw my wife, something hit me. It was like, oh, you get swiped by feeling. When I've changed jobs, when I've changed places I've lived, when I've changed vocations, always was a feeling that hit me. It had nothing to do with my thought process. It came from left field, as they say, it came from my heart, it came from my guts, it came from who knows where. Fifth dimension, we've been tricked to be backwards. And that you think it all starts here and goes out, right? You get a thought, you have an idea, you want to make something, you want to make some money, and then you go into the world. And that's how the monsters that be, or the parasites that be, or the devils that be trick you, because reality actually goes the other way. Fifth dimension comes to the third dimension, right? Something bigger comes to you. And if you allow this to come in, and I don't mean from a politician or someone in a suit or an evil doctor or whatever, it will give you an inspiration and then it can go out. Right. I was talking with a fellow, our editor, even the other day, that says he did some studies that our ears make sound. They don't only accept sound. I was studying with some other doctors that say our noses don't just have smell molecules that come in. Supposedly we put energy out that touches things, feels. Same with our heart, right? Everyone knows they walk into a room, someone having bad feelings, they're emanating weird feelings. You go bad vibes as you like, you leave. So your heart is also putting out information, right? Your gut. So think about it. You're a receptor and a perceiver, as well as a broadcaster or someone that puts out these feelings. So how do you make your reality? How do you make your dream? You know, you may be stuck when I don't know what to do, right? I don't have any money. My job limitations are this. I need my vaccine. You know, Campbell told me he talked with someone that said, you know, you have this job, you have this job. So I take my vaccine because you don't see any options. But maybe if you allow the world to talk with you and then you put out the feelings, you know, or your heart puts out the idea of, let's say, wanting a job that doesn't need a vaccine, for example, maybe the world will hear you then. Right. So it's a matter of listening to your heart's voice, but also I would say putting that out there. Right. If you're only putting out fears, fears are going to come back to you. If you're only putting out limitations, limitations are going to come back to you. If you're putting out your feelings of wanting a better relationship, wanting to heal your eyes, wanting to find a better job, and then you close your mind, you close your mouth, you're quiet, you meditate, let the world come back and talk to you, because it does. It does. The world loves us.
Yeah.
It will help you if you ask for that help and you allow it to come to you.
Yeah, trust a bit. And that's, you know, that's a really good way of looking at it. You know, again, you know, they want us to look at everything 3D and you know, what you're doing, you've got to move these bits around the world. But, you know, if you look at it more of, you know, if you want something, you put out that thought, that energy, and that thought and energy goes out there and it's looking to connect to the same thought and energy, which is coming through, like Lorenzo said, from a higher realm. You know, that information's all there. All the help is there. We've just got to learn how to connect to it. But of course, you know, they want us to listen to the people on the media and all this stuff. So yeah, maybe it's a shift in the way that you know, we've got to all make a shift in the way that we live and that we create, and get away from this 3D, moving things around in you know, a 3D space kind of thing to energy and 5D, because, you know, I've said it before, it's much faster to go work in the energy level than the 3D level. Things happen much faster. And so, yeah, a good point is just sit there and put out what you want and believe that it's going to connect and find what you need and bring it back to you. And this is what we're going to start getting into in future episodes is, you know, that energy is coming in, whatever you want to call it, you know, the creative energy, and we're in here. And it's really our job to take that inside and turn it into something, you know, with our signature on it, or our, if you want to call it that, and then give it back to the world in the 3D world, you know. But we're doing everything in reverse. We're taking the 3D world in, right, judging that, and then putting that back out. So we're not connecting with source. So it's all a different way to look at the world, to look at creating, you know, who we are. Of course, you've got to believe that you're part of the creation, that you are unique, and that you're, you know, created divine for all this to work. So maybe that may be something to work through first. You know, if we're saying this stuff and things are coming up like, that's crap, that's the question you need to write down and get the 7 answers for. Why is it crap? Like that, this is exactly where those 7 questions come in. As soon as you get one of those things coming up, right, and you want to yell at the world, why? Because it's all about you. It's not about the world. You know, as we've said before, it's really hard to change the world, much easier to change yourself. So yeah, just believe in your power and believe that if you put it out there, that the creator will answer you and say, here's the answer. You bring it inside, and then you get to give that message, that gift to the world. And that's really how it's supposed to work, I think.
You know, and don't forget that, you know, a good point Campbell brought up is if you want to argue or you want to yell or something gives you pain, you know, there's been not way too many, but a few comments of people yelling about why we're wrong and how they're right. And you know, and how dare we share this kind of information? Obviously, if you haven't been to your heart in a while and it's full of wounds or pain or bad ideas or bad expressions, bad experiences, everyone's had them growing up. The only way that it can work is it has to heal first, right? So we're talking about getting to your heart's voice, but maybe your heart's voice is covered in pain. You know, maybe you wanted to love and you had a bad relationship. Maybe your parents were bad to you in one way or whatever. Maybe your brothers or your sisters, or your friends or your teachers was unkind. Let's say, you know, it's happened to all of us. I've had to get over being so fucking angry at every, pardon my swear, you know, and so they're all wrong. And, you know, but the first point in maybe hearing your heart's voice is getting over the pain of what's blocking your heart's voice, let's say. So if you're feeling pain for something, if something's coming up, someone's really pissing you off, I think Campbell made a great suggestion, and I like it. I'm going to take that one to heart. Write it down. Go, why is this pissing me off, right? When, you know, we said in another interview, we talked about being sovereign and you should be free. Like, Why does this make me angry when I think we don't need leaders? Why does it make me angry when someone says we don't need politics? Like, what's going on? Take it down to 7. Maybe you'll find out something about yourself you didn't know yet. Maybe that's what needs to be healed, before you get angry with the next person that, if some advice comes by you don't like, ignore it, whatever, pass along, turn the video off, go to another channel, whatever, have another relationship, do whatever, change jobs. But if it's really angering you to you, we're going to stop and start foaming at the mouth and start fighting and yelling and screaming. Well, maybe that demon inside is giving you horrible advice, the devil, and it's trying to block you from seeing what's behind the anger, the quiet voice, your heart's voice that's wanting to come out. But first you got to face whatever is pissing you off, right? Whatever is giving you pain. And at the very least, understand whether it's righteous anger, which is fine, whether you're supposed to be angry, like, get angry at the politicians for messing you up, whether it's just silly angry, like, I can't believe they said I'm wrong about this, fill in your own blanks here, when maybe you are wrong about it, or maybe you're wrong about it for other people, but right about it for yourself. And if you understand that, this is another technique to get closer to your heart's voice. Because I hear people out there going, how do I do that? What's going on? I don't know how to do that, right? So, pardon my funny voices. So maybe this is another way that you can, write it down, see what pisses you off, see what you don't want to do, figure out what's in your head, figure out who sent it there, how it got there. This is not an easy thing. Like, I don't want it to sound trite. Just get your heart's voice. You'll be great. It's been a 20-year conscious work for me, and I'm still have trouble with it every day. Right? I still have to struggle. I still miss the point. I still get angry with people in my life and myself. Right? It's a never unending work, I think. To get there, but it's possible.
Yeah. We're definitely not perfect. I still definitely have triggers, but that's the thing. As long as you're focusing on going forward, then you're going to go forward. And, like Lorenzo said with the comments, a good piece of advice I'll put out there is, instead of, typing your angry comment into YouTube, maybe grab a piece of paper and a pen and start writing instead. Why am I pissed off? Why is this making me feel this way? It's probably, energy better spent, because if you're just going to repeat and react and put out the same energy, you're just going to get the same stuff back. So you're just going to find yourself on a video in a week that's similar, writing the same thing. Okay. So, do you want to be right, or do you actually want to get better and be happy? This is the thing, are you ready to let your ego go, and just go, look, mate, you're tricking me. You're not actually taking me where I want to go. And I was wrong for following you and believing you, just like we can be wrong for following politicians or whatever. Yep. Okay. I made a boo-boo. But the thing is, if you keep making that boo-boo, nothing ever changes. You just get, it does. You get more pissed off, right? Because the world's so bad. So just, make a change. The thing is, if you make a change, you're going to get something different anyway. Change is as good as a holiday, right? So even if it's still bad, well, it's different bad. So it's interesting bad. So just try something different. Not to be rude, but get over yourself. Right? That's what I had to do. You just got to get over yourself. That's it. You are not the be all and end all, unfortunately. Yes, you are a perfect creation, but that person standing next to you is a perfect creation too. That dude in jail, that, MF politician comes from the same place, right? As far as we know. So this is the thing, we're not perfect. We're all just pieces of the puzzle, just trying to get better.
The drug addict on the street, we're all great. We've all had our opportunities. We've all had our challenges. Everyone's the same. I think Campbell hit the nail on the head. If you're happy with life and you're groovy and healthy and abundant and feeling great, there's no reason for you to listen to anybody or be on any of these videos or take anybody's advice. But if something's up and something's wrong, chances are it's your fault. And I know people don't like to hear that if they've had, like, maybe they've been physically abused when they were 5, or maybe, someone hit them in the car and it wasn't their fault, or they got tricked in a relationship, or whatever. Their parents were mean to them growing up when they were 4 or 5 or 6. And so it wasn't their fault. But, that was then, this is now. and now there's only time for you to change, right? If you're listening to these videos, you're probably some sort of an adult. You're probably older than 18, I would guess, most of the people listening, and you probably have the opportunity to do something different, right? And if you don't feel that you do, maybe that's your first step to get into your heart's voice, how to make things different, how to get somewhere that you haven't been, how to listen to your heart's voice. If you don't know, there's always ways to figure out for yourself what you need to do for yourself. But I do like what Campbell said. Sometimes you just have to admit, I was wrong. As hard as that is, boy, did I F up, boy, did I screw up, boy, even if you don't feel you're wrong. My wife taught me in Japan, they apologize even if they're not wrong. It's really interesting. It used to make me crazy in this culture. And even you bump into someone, they'll go, sumimasen, excuse me. And I used to go, what's going on? What's going on with them? I don't understand that, because I'm from, Canadian, North American culture where you're always right. And she goes, well, if you apologize, there's no stress, then the other person apologizes. And then you give them an opportunity to go, no, it was my fault. And if you go, sorry, I bumped into you. So basically, if you admit being wrong first, even if you don't think you are, you would be amazed at the new opportunities that could be before your very eyes 1 second later that wasn't there before. Really, you go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. And then they'll go, oh, no, it was my fault. And then maybe you'll make a new friend. Maybe you'll have a new pathway. Maybe something you never always thought you wanted to exist comes by admitting, by saying you're right, you really never change, right? It's only in admitting you're wrong, you make space for something new, right? It's a bitter pill to swallow. It's taken me forever to get there. Even just in having this conversation now with Campbell, I'm getting somewhere new inside myself. I can feel parts of my heart opening as we're having this conversation. Just by saying you're wrong, it means there's space to be right.
Yeah, you got to open up space, right, to let new things in. And that's the thing. It's a cultural thing that's really interesting. That admitting, excuse me, admitting that you might be at fault, even if you're not. Because that neutralizes the energy. Totally. In the Western world, we bump into someone, and so often it's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, get out of my way. Oh. But if you turn around, with at least neutrality, if not love, well, then what are they going to do? If they turn around and yell at you, then they can't get past the fact that they're the bad person. If you're standing and yelling at someone and they're like smiling and giving you love, even your ego can't get over that your ego is going to be going, hang on, I'm the bad guy here. I'm the bad guy. And so they won't do it. Yeah. But if you say, oh, sorry, then that's gone. Right. So all these little things, and this is the thing, everything's learning. You can learn, everyone's a teacher and everyone's a student. Like Lorenzo said, he's picked up a few things from this conversation, and so have I. And this is the whole thing. It's being willing to learn. And when you're wrong, when you can be wrong, then you can always be right, because you can always learn. When you're always right, you can never be wrong, which means you're always wrong, if that makes sense. It's a dichotomy, and this is it. It's it's a big dichotomy. So the people with who are the rawest and who don't have anything to gain and don't have any agenda, they're the ones that'll learn the most and go the furthest. It's like, don't be the stupidest person in the room, but you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to put yourself in places where you can always grow and be brought up by people who, have a better viewpoint, more information. And that's what I do constantly. I never want to be the person, I've got all the answers, listen to me, because that's restricting. That's restricting yourself.
We started this Odyssey of Truth, Campbell and I, not knowing where we were going to go. And it's because it was an open-ended journey, and because we're open to what he has to share, and I'm open, and he's open perhaps to what I have to share, and we're open to what other people are sharing. And, I get all kinds of feedback from these videos. I get what I've done well, what I've done bad, what I could do better. And, it's helping me to become a better person, because I'm putting that energy out there, and I'm understanding, through what my heart is sharing. It could be like, if you understand that your heart makes reality. So even if you're not wrong, if you say, let's make peace here, like sumimasen, excuse me, right away, peace is brought out. Campbell made a good point last time. You put out bad energy in your YouTube comments, that's what the world's going to give you, right? You put out peaceful energy, even if you're wrong, you're going to get peace. You put out energy that you want to grow by admitting you need some help, that's what you're going to get. right? You put out energy that you need change. And then the beauty about all this is you start to open up that space, and it's more than just having a heart that's working. You're understanding you have another tool for making your life, right? That's not from your head. That's not from just your pocketbook or your wallet. You have another tool for creating. And this is what the monsters are stopping. I happen to really, really feel this is what the jibba jabs is for. I think it's blocking that energy that most people are starting to realize they need to make a better life. And that's what all this nonsense is really about. Because once you become a creative being, once you realize your heart can make any reality it needs, you can create anything you want. Nobody has control over you anymore. No one can tell you anything, right? No one can get into your heart and tell it what to say the way they can get into your head and give you nonsense. So once that's operating, well, it's up to you where you go from there. But I would say, getting to that heart's voice is more than just a new agey woo-woo saying, listen to your heart and you'll be okay. Love, love, love. No, it's an energetic tool, 500 times stronger, at least than your head, 500 times more powerful, and that voice can make a life for you that you would always like and never knew you could live in, I would say.
Exactly. And all this stuff is, scientifically proven, guys. Go and check it out, the Heart Math Institute. They've done a ton of research. There's a lot of other independent research out there on, the different brains and plexuses in our bodies. If you don't think that what we're saying is right, or you've got any questions, go and check it out, right? Go and self-educate, be autodidactic, go and get the information. And then you'll know, okay, these guys are full of crap, or okay, they're telling the truth. Don't sit there and wonder, oh, was that true? Was that just get out there and answer the question, because wondering is also, it's just putting yourself in a space of, oh, well, whatever happens. I'm not in control. I'm just fluffing about in the breeze. Whereas if you go, oh, that sounds interesting, you go there, oh, great, new information. Wow, I'd never knew, you don't know where it'll take you. Much better than judgment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much the theme is, trust, go inside, connect with who you really are, the creative energy, the little voice, admit you're wrong, admit that great trickster is just, your ego, and it's just loud and it's just tricking you because that's where the power is.
Exactly.
Because that's where the power is. It's in, yeah, oh God.
I mean, that's the beauty is you'll find, maybe I'll leave people before we get into when we go into the second half of our Odyssey of Truth, we're going to go more down the rabbit hole, more into energy, more into fifth dimensional ways, more into omens, if you like, more into ways things talk to you. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, maybe go back over this chat if they have a chance. A few times when we mentioned extraneous, beautiful energy coming in, we heard bing bings in the background, right? We heard some stuff coming in. I think literally that there's a part of this world that's not in our normal five senses. That's always, for me anyways, it's always trying to talk to me. So if when I allow it in, I let it happen, I let it come in, we're going to have some talks about going down that rabbit hole, developing the skills for that, going out there, getting beyond the third dimension. I'm really looking forward to the second half of our journey, at the very least, once we get into that. But, for now, you don't want to go in a boat with a dirty engine. You don't want to go until you filled up in gas. You don't want to go till you make sure you've had that tune up. So, tune up your heart, allow it to talk to you, and then from there, perhaps there'll be better ways that we can share together with you on this weird odyssey on, how you can take a journey to something that's fantastic. Teach yourself. Campbell's right. You got to be autodidactic. I'm working on the new now. So once you're autodidactic, you can learn how to make your now new. You can learn how to make a better life. And together, who knows what's possible. But I would say if you're not happy, something beyond that is certainly more than possible.
Indeed. Yep, just let it go. Be vulnerable, listen to the little voice and trust that you're all powerful and that things are going your way. And the biggest thing, get out there and take action, do something, get a piece of paper, write down, have it sitting on your desk with a pen, write down these things. All of this information is no good at all if you just listen to us talking. If you start implementing things and thinking about it, then that's where the change comes, because you have to do something different to get something different.
100%.
So there we go. And Also, you will find links below, guys, for our Telegram channel and also our mailing list. So sign up, keep in the loop. We'll keep you up to date with all the videos as they get released, all that kind of stuff. And there's a good, there's conversation going on the Telegram channel. So you can, have a chat with like-minded people, work out any questions you want to ask us, any hard questions or anything like that. And of course, if you are looking to make a change in your life, there is another link down there, freedomshift.life.
So yeah, contact us any way we can. We're happy to help. Let us know how we can. I love you all very much. I appreciate your time here. I think Campbell said it best. Allow for change, allow for something new, get off your ass and make it true. You really have to do it for yourself. If you're waiting for change, it's never going to come. After all, who doesn't want their heart working well? Who doesn't want their love voice being clear? Clear up yourself, figure out where you're wrong, move along. We're doing it. You can do it. Come along for the ride. It's a bumpy journey, but a lot of fun.
It is. That's the one. Life's an inside game, guys.
All right.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back in a few weeks with part 5, where we get a bit more
esoteric. 4 first and then 5, but yeah,
4.
4, yeah. 3's out.
7 and 8.
By the time you see this, 3 will be out. It's going out any minute now. Part 3, this will be part 3.5. We're going to work on part 4. If all the links will be below any of them if you missed them all, so you can catch up if you want to. So we appreciate you joining us on this odd journey. Thank you all very much. See you all again very soon.
We're living in uncertain times. We don't know what's going to go on. Job security is pretty much out the window. Dependent a lot on the choices that you make and the information you want to give. So what are you going to do? Are you looking for something new? Are you looking for a new way to create wealth for your family that is, shall we say, Babylon proof? And on top of that, are you looking for a good group of people to work with, a good network? Because as we know, going forward, this is all about creating networks of people on our frequency who have the same morals and ethics and intent, and who all want to walk forward together and create something so much better. So if you're looking for some good products, a good business, and most of all, a good group of people, I think we may have found something you might be interested in.
You don't need to sell your soul to make a living. You don't need to sell your soul to have your family happy, healthy, and free. A simple shift in what you would like to do, the same amount of energy, and it can all come back to you. Freedomshift.life. Campbell did it, I did it. Happy to see you there.
Freedomshift.life.
Can't make me lie to my heart. No one tells me where I should start. Freedom first is what I say.